I remember the footage the most. Not the blood. Not even the screaming. It was the silence before it all. That endless static hum as the CCTV looped through frame after frame of the abandoned Cape Reinga lighthouse, still as a tomb. The footage clearly showed all 5 of them. Cade, Mikey, Ronan, Zoya, and Elle, breaking through the rusted back gate just after midnight. Laughing, shoving, flashlights sweeping into the thick mist. They passed the threshold, and were never seen leaving. But a week later, Cade washed up 87 kilometers south, near a rocky inlet where no current should have taken him. No one could explain how his phone pinged from a different coastal town each night, or why each message in their group chat was typed in perfect rhythm at 3:03 a.m., even though no one responded. What they went in to do was supposed to be simple. An overnight viral lighthouse game. Urban legend meets ghost dare. Record the 3 steps. Post it. Blow up. Done. A modern rite of stupidity. But Cape Reinga is not just another ruin. Cade had been the ringleader. Charismatic. Smug. Always chasing something more extreme. But behind the smugness, there was a desperate fear of being ordinary. He used to say, "If you don't make it by 25, you die invisible." This trip was supposed to be his crown. The video that made him seen. He planned everything down to the second. Rented a beat-up Subaru Forester under a fake name. Scheduled the post to drop at 6 a.m. sharp with geotags. Even choreographed who would say what on camera. But what no one but Zoya knew was that Cade had been to the lighthouse before. Once. As a kid. He never talked about it in detail. Only once, high out of his mind on psilocybin, did he blurt out, "There are eyes in the water there. You think you're looking out, but it's already looking in." The group was tight-knit but brittle. Ronan and Cade were stepbrothers, though they acted more like rivals. Ronan had an edge to him, something always half-violent, like his silence was holding back too much. He didn't laugh often, but he followed Cade anyway. Zoya and Elle were new additions to the crew. Zoya had a history with Cade. A real one. The kind that ends in broken phones, restraining orders, and late-night phone calls that sound like apologies but feel like guilt. Elle was a wild card, sharp, sarcastic, and oddly interested in the myths behind the lighthouse. She was the one who brought up the old Māori legends. The spirits of the dead leave from this point. It's where the souls dive into the sea to reach the afterlife. If you hear whispers, you're not supposed to answer. But Cade loved the theatrics. That was the whole point. They entered just after 12:17 a.m., crossing the cracked stone steps, past the rusting iron plaque half-sunk in moss. The door groaned open. Nothing but damp air and a staircase spiraling up into shadow. Their phones recorded everything. And then, the recordings cut off. No glitches. No static. Just a sharp click. As if someone, or something, hit stop. What haunts me is what Cade said on the 4th night, when he finally opened his mouth in the psych ward. The room was white. Still. His voice was raw, like salt water had peeled it from inside. It blinked. The lighthouse. It blinked at us. They thought it was madness. Until we pulled the metadata from the last text sent from Zoya's phone. At 3:03 a.m., 6 days after they entered. It read only one thing. Turn around. They're not gone. And it pinged from inside the lighthouse basement, a place sealed in 1993. What did they see in there? Why did only Cade return? And why can't he remember who Elle is? But most disturbing of all, when authorities finally went to recover the CCTV drives, they found something no one could explain. 5 shadows, standing at the lens, just watching. But they were inside the tower, and the camera was mounted outside. The first real crack in the story wasn't Cade's silence. It was what they found on Ronan's burner phone. A backup device he kept duct-taped inside the lining of his backpack. Turned off, never synced. He used it for notes, for secrets, for things he didn't want Cade to see. It shouldn't have survived the salt and damp. But it turned on. And the first file? A short voice memo, recorded at 12:58 a.m., 41 minutes after the group entered the lighthouse. "We did the steps wrong." Elle said wait, but Cade kept pushing. Now it's not just dark. It's layered. The air hums. I swear the stairs are rearranging when we blink. The lighthouse game. Zoya had found it on an old forum, buried beneath stories about Japanese urban legends and forgotten forest cults. It was listed under colonial residue, hauntings that don't belong to you. At exactly midnight, stand at the base of the lighthouse stairs. Step 1. Speak your name aloud and the name of someone you've betrayed. Step 2. Climb 33 steps without looking back. Step 3. Leave an offering hair, blood, or breath. Wait 3 minutes. Then leave without speaking. If the sea is calm, you were seen. If the sea is wild, you were heard. It read like creepypasta. But Elle had been obsessed. She'd printed it out, folded it into her phone case. This isn't about ghosts, she told them on the drive up. It's about what remembers you. The group laughed about it. Mostly. But now, listening to the voice clips Ronan left, there was no laughter. Only panic. Cade said he wouldn't say a name, that it was all fake. But the second we got to the 33rd step, the tower moaned, like steel under pressure. Elle turned to leave, but Zoya stopped her. She said we had to finish or it wouldn't end. I didn't understand what she meant. I still don't. But something moved upstairs. According to the phone's timeline, they reached the top platform at 1:07 a.m. There are no recordings after that, just fragments. Sound distortions. Whispered syllables in a language no one's identified yet. Some claim it's corrupted Te Reo Maori. Others say it's something older. The only image left is a blurred screenshot from Elle's camera, likely taken by accident. It shows a half-open trapdoor at the top of the spiral staircase, and a long, wet hand reaching out from behind the iron. No face, just flesh so pale it reflects the camera flash like fish skin, and a single, jagged fingernail covered in sand. Zoya's journal, recovered from her duffel in the Forester, held other clues. Her handwriting, normally sharp and angular, had started to loop erratically. There were pages of numbers, tide charts, crossed with names. Then a list appeared. Kate, cowardice. Ronan, jealousy. Elle, arrogance. Zoya, regret. Me, fear. And underneath that, the lighthouse chooses what you hide. It gives it form. If you don't own it, it owns you. Cade never mentioned the list, never acknowledged it. But when asked by investigators what he remembered from the night, he repeated only one phrase over and over: "We never should have looked down." Flashback to Zoya's last message in their group chat, typed manually at 3:03 a.m., same as the others. Do not follow the sound, no matter what it says. If it sounds like someone you know, it isn't. The horrifying thing is this. All 5 of them had recorded short intros at the base of the lighthouse. You know, classic influencer style. Hey guys, we're out here at Cape Reinga about to do the lighthouse game challenge. Let's see if we survive, lol. All 5, even Cade. But in the drive recovered from the cloud, only 4 voices play. And in Elle's, the audio includes someone else entirely. A low voice, male, speaking in a slow, cracked dialect, whispering something between each word like a glitching translator. It repeats one line. You came here with no debt. Now you leave with theirs. It gets worse. Coastal search teams began canvassing the area where Cade had been found. That rocky inlet? Local fishermen avoid it. Not for safety reasons, there's no danger there. Just unease. They call it Te Anga Moana, the ocean's jaw. And according to oral legend passed down for generations, it was where souls who couldn't cross to the afterlife would wait in the tide, mimicking the living, hoping someone would answer their call and finish their journey for them. Cade is still in psychiatric care. But last week, he asked for one thing. Not food, not water, not a lawyer. He asked for his phone. When asked why, he said this: I need to call myself. I think I answered already. And now something's coming back. They told the search team not to bother. The door was padlocked, sealed since the storm of '93. No footprints, no light, just old bones and rust. But the hikers insisted. They said the voice was real, not the wind, not the gulls, not a trick of the cliffs. It was pleading, calling a name over and over. Ronan, please, come back. The same name, again and again. One of the hikers, an ex-paramedic, claimed he could hear it even when he covered his ears. It was inside me, he said, like it was echoing in my own memory. The strange part? Neither hiker knew the group, but both of them described the voice as young, female, and angry. When investigators listened back to the body cam audio, it was faint, but it was there. A voice, distorted by distance, calling from inside stone walls that hadn't been opened in decades. They enhanced it, cleaned the sound. The voice said something else. We gave it too much. Now it wants what's left. That same day, Zoya's old foster sister, Anaya, contacted authorities. She hadn't seen Zoya in years. They'd grown apart after a messy breakup in the system. But she followed Zoya's channel, saw the Cape Reinga footage when it dropped. Anaya was the only one who knew about Zoya's childhood night terrors. How she used to wake up screaming about wet hands on the stairs and a door that opened by itself every night at 3:03. Zoya had even drawn it, again and again. A narrow spiral staircase with tide marks creeping up the walls. But what chilled Anaya the most was a message Zoya sent 3 days before the group vanished. One that had gone unread until now. It simply said, "If I don't come back." I followed her voice. The deeper investigators dug, the more patterns they found. Every year, 1 or 2 disappearances clustered around Cape Reinga, usually hikers or daredevils who ventured too far off-trail. Most were written off as drownings, accidents, suicides, but 3 of those names matched entries in Ronan's burner phone notes. Kai, 2017, last seen filming near the cliffs. Mila, 2019, disappeared on a vision quest. Thomas, 2022, drone footage found. His voice heard screaming, "I didn't bring it here." They all followed the same digital trail. Encrypted forums, creepy challenges, ritual games. And every one of them ended in the same way. A final post, a vanishing, a silence that never explained itself. Back in the hospital, Cade stopped eating. He began taping pieces of paper to the walls of his room. Drawings, symbols, even words written backwards. Nurses found him reciting a countdown in a low voice, over and over. 13 stairs, 11 hands, 9 eyes, 7 names, 5 lies. When asked what it meant, he whispered, "She's still climbing. I didn't lock the door. Let's go back." According to Ronan's second voice memo, recorded around 1:22 a.m., something changed in the air after they performed the ritual. The tide roared so loud we couldn't hear our own breathing. Elle looked out the tower window and screamed. Said there were people in the sea. Not swimming. Not drowning. Standing. Just standing in the water. Watching us. Zoya grabbed Elle. Cade laughed. He thought it was all part of the game. He told them to stay in character. But then the tower door slammed shut behind them. No one had touched it. And from the trapdoor above the top floor, they heard knocking. The phone's flash activated. Automatically. Just once. The photo it took was corrupted, but when digital forensics stabilized the contrast, you could make out a blurred figure on the ceiling, pressed against it like a spider, long arms bent the wrong way. Skin bloated like it had soaked too long in brine, and scrawled along the inner curve of the lighthouse dome. "If you speak, you stay." Flashback to Elle's podcast appearance 6 months earlier. She had spoken about death rituals and forgotten mythology. One segment in particular stood out. Lighthouses are thresholds, not just for ships, but for souls. You think of light as safety, but in some legends it's a trap. A false beacon, used to gather the wandering. Was this what Cape Reinga had become? Not a guide, but a collector? When the team finally reviewed the metadata from Cade's camera, they found something truly disturbing. The original video footage, before the cuts, was overwritten by something else. A second video, 3 minutes long, entirely silent. 5 people stand in the lighthouse, facing the wall, not moving, not breathing. Their flashlights flicker off one by one. And at 3:03 a.m., they all turn around in perfect sync, faces slack and eyes wide, but their mouths are sewn shut. In the final few seconds, the camera drops to the floor, and we see something horrific. Wet footprints, leading away from the group, barefoot, child-sized, and they fade into the wall itself like someone walked through it. Cade's final journal entry, scribbled in the back of a Bible left by his hospital bed, read, "There was no game, there was only bait. What no one ever talks about is the silence between the screams. That's where the story lives. Not in the howling wind or the shattering glass, but in that unbearable stillness, like the sea itself is holding its breath." For nearly a month, local authorities refused to reopen the lighthouse. It was unstable, dangerous, a relic of a colonial past better left untouched. But after a second ping from L's SIM card, this time originating from beneath the structure itself, submerged in a rocky sea trench, search and rescue brought in a specialist. Nakoa Hiri, a third-generation forensic diver, fluent in the stories his grandfather used to whisper when they passed Cape Reinga by boat. "This isn't just a crossing point," the old man would say. "It's a gate, but some spirits don't get through. They stay. They wait." Nakoa was skeptical. He believed in the ocean's wrath, but not its ghosts. That changed the moment he entered the basement shaft, which had supposedly been sealed for over 30 years. The hatch opened, effortlessly. No lock, no chain, just brine-soaked darkness curling inward like a mouth. The descent began at 3:01 a.m. The water was black, thick with sediment. His floodlight barely reached a meter ahead. But the moment he passed the third rung, his camera began to glitch. Then the audio feed picked up a voice, whispering, from behind the lens. Female, broken, ragged. "We didn't knock. We thought it was empty, but it was listening." At second 43, the footage jerked sideways. Something struck the lens. Not hard, just enough to tip it slightly upward. And there, floating inches below the surface, was a pale human hand. Limp, open, holding a waterproof phone case. Inside it, Zoya's phone, still powered, still warm. At second 47, everything went black. When Nakoa was pulled up, unconscious and coughing blood, the first thing he said was, "The walls were breathing. It's not stone down there. It's skin." And the second thing? "She's still speaking, just not in your language." Digital forensics were able to extract several encrypted voice memos from Zoya's device, dated the night of their disappearance. They've never been made public. But transcripts leaked, line by line, reveal a terrifying real-time spiral. 1:18 a.m. Elle keeps crying. "Ronan's gone. Just gone. 1 second he was behind me. Then the mirror, wait, no. There's no mirror. Just a wall that looks like water." 1:34 a.m. "Cade won't look at me. Keeps saying my name isn't mine. What does that mean? What does that mean?" 1:52 a.m. "There's someone on the stairs. Small. Wet. She keeps saying she's me." 2:14 a.m. "If you see this, tell Anaya I'm sorry. I didn't mean to answer. I thought it was just a game." 3:03 a.m. "No transcription available. The file ends in a scream." Investigators re-examined the group's initial footage, frame by frame. At 12:39 a.m., just after entering the spiral stairwell, a reflection appeared in the steel railing. Not one of the five, a sixth face, smaller, childlike, grinning. She appears again at 1:01 a.m., crouched just beyond the edge of the flashlight's reach, her soaked hair clinging to her shoulders. But there's something wrong with her proportions, like she's stretched, twisted by pressure. And in each sighting, she's closer, always closer, until the last video cuts to static. Flashback to Elle's research folder. In one of her files, there's a scanned excerpt from an obscure 1897 missionary journal, written by a man who lived near Cape Reinga for 7 years. He wrote of a local legend called Te Tamahin Oti Moana Te Papaku, the daughter of the drowned sea. She was said to be a child left behind during an old coastal purge. Her mother jumped from the cliffs. Her father vanished inland. But the girl stayed. For days, weeks, years. and the villagers claimed her spirit never left. Simply learned to wait, and mimic, and call others into her loneliness. She does not possess you, the journal says. She borrows your voice, and when she is done, she leaves your body behind and walks into the sea, wearing your name. This brings us to the most haunting twist. Cade, after weeks of unresponsiveness, began sketching again. Hundreds of tiny drawings. Always the same subject. A girl, drenched, barefoot, holding hands with copies of Zoya, Ronan, Elle, and himself. But their eyes are blank, and their mouths are open like they're screaming underwater. In the last drawing, Cade is gone, and the girl is smiling, wearing his jacket. Authorities tried to explain away the phone data, the voice distortions, the footprints that led into dry concrete. But one unnamed officer assigned to the case later confessed off-record. "We brought in a priest, just to be safe. He said whatever they found in that tower, it wasn't a ghost. It was an invitation." One final message, buried in the corrupted system files of Ronan's burner, was recovered last week. An audio loop, whispered low and rhythmic, repeating the same phrase. "You came to see a story. Now you are part of it. And it remembers your name." They told us the footage wasn't live, that it was recorded, archived, and safe to review. But that wasn't true, because the woman who disappeared, Marla Quinn, a contract digital forensic specialist, was working alone, rewatching the same 3:03 a.m. clip from Zoya's recovered phone. She hit pause, zoomed, adjusted brightness, and in that exact moment, the reflection blinked. The clip had been watched a dozen times by that point. Analysts, law enforcement, even skeptical journalists. But no one had noticed the detail Marla spotted. In the shot where the group is turning, slack-faced, toward the camera, there's a glass oil lantern hanging behind them. Decorative, supposedly broken for decades. And in that lantern's reflection, 6 figures appear. Not 5, 6. One of them is smaller, not quite child-sized, but warped, as if it's crouching on the wall instead of standing on the floor. Marla zoomed in. The pixels glitched. And then, according to internal server logs, her camera activated itself. Face ID failed 5 times, and her office chair rolled back. She's been missing for 11 days. No signs of struggle, no exit footage, just the sticky note, and a strange smell in the room, like damp wool and salt water. The last image stored in her laptop cache, a low-res export of the footage's reflection. In it, the 6th figure's face is partially turned, and it looks almost exactly like Marla. Back in the psych facility, Cade was moved to a higher security wing after another incident. This time, he bit off part of his own tongue, then used the blood to write on his wall. "She was watching us through the lens. She's been watching you through your screen." Flashback to the original game rules, the ones Elle printed before the trip. A later draft was found in her email drafts folder, unsent and edited. The rules were slightly different than the version Cade insisted they follow. Step 1. Speak your name aloud. Speak the name of the person you fear will betray you. Step 2. Climb 33 stairs. You will feel watched. This is part of it. Step 3. Give breath, blood, or silence. Final step, crossed out: if she looks at you, you must not look back. It was that last step, crossed out in red, with a single, handwritten note beneath. Too late for us. Maybe not for them. Authorities chalked it up to online hysteria, viral urban legend spin-offs. But then came the coastal town sightings. Between days 3 and 6 after the group vanished, for separate witnesses from 4 different towns reported seeing Zoya, Ronan, Elle, and Cade. Each described the same thing. They were barefoot, their clothes were damp, and they didn't speak, just stood in doorways or by roadside cliffs, watching. The locations lined up exactly with the phone pings. But the kicker? Each one happened at 3:03 a.m. One local, Mrs. Alina Raukara, a teacher, claimed Cade stood at her window the night after his supposed rescue, pale, shivering, his eyes completely black. She opened the curtain, blinked, and he was gone. But in the morning, her phone had a new voicemail, from an unknown number. Her own voice was on the recording, whispering, "Don't let him in. He's wearing his skin, but it's not Cade. It's never been." Digital text traced the signal. The call came from within Cape Reinga's restricted satellite radius, which had been disabled for a decade. They reactivated the beacon for safety. Within 6 minutes, a response signal returned. Encrypted, scrambled, repeating, and inside that signal was an audio clip, heavily distorted, but with one chilling line in perfect clarity. "If you can hear her, she already knows your name." Flashback to Elle's childhood. Her older brother, Micah, had drowned when she was 10, in an unrelated accident up north. She was there when it happened. Witnesses said she walked straight into the tide to try to follow him. Elle never spoke of it, ever. But in a recovered journal entry dated 2 nights before their disappearance, she wrote, "Sometimes I hear Micah calling my name at 3 a.m., only it's not his voice. It's a girl's voice now, softer, hungrier." And now the final thread, Zoya's foster records. Her last placement before aging out was just outside Cape Reinga. Her case file includes one striking detail from when she was 14. She was found sleepwalking 5 kilometers down the coastal path in the middle of a storm. When police picked her up, she was murmuring something in Māori, though Zoya didn't speak it. They translated the words later. "I answered her. I blinked. She opened her eyes." All these stories, all these sightings, all these voices, they don't lead outward, they lead in. Because the lighthouse was never just a structure. It was never a tower to guide. It was a lens, a giant eye, and she, whoever she is, wasn't locked inside it. She was looking through it. Final line from Ronan's last voice memo, retrieved and decrypted just hours ago. Asterisk. "She's not watching us to haunt us. She's watching us to learn how to be us." Some files delete cleanly. Some, when wiped, leave behind a corrupted ghost, raw data fragments. Unusable. Silent. But this file came back intact. No error codes. No glitches. No indication that it had ever been missing at all. And yet it wasn't there until after midnight. Exactly 3:03 a.m. It was buried in Ronan's drive, deep inside a folder marked scrap and used takes, and it didn't appear in any upload logs. No metadata, no digital fingerprint of who or what restored it. But the title was clear, like a warning scratched into the dark. "Don't show her this one." The footage is 12 minutes and 14 seconds long. And it's wrong, not because of what's on screen, but because of what's watching through it. The clip begins as a standard vlog. Ronan holds the camera low, filming Cade asleep in the back of the Forester. Zoya's leaning against the window. Elle's outside, smoking near the lighthouse fence. Everyone looks normal, tired, joking. But Ronan whispers something under his breath before turning the lens. "She's watching us already. I feel it in my molars." Around minute 3, the group is seen arguing about who's going to perform the ritual. The audio crackles, but Zoya clearly says, "There's no power in doing it wrong. You have to mean it. You have to give it something true." Elle pushes back. Cade laughs. The wind howls louder. But in the reflection of the SUV window, a face appears behind Zoya. Small, half visible, eyes too far apart. And when the camera pans back to real time, she's gone. At minute 5:42, Ronan walks up the lighthouse stairs alone. His breathing is tight, shallow. The camera catches the curve of the stairwell, and for just a second, the handrail seems to breathe. It rises and falls, like lungs beneath rusted iron. Then suddenly the sound drops out, all ambient noise, gone. And a voice, not Ronan's, whispers into the dead air, "Don't show her this one. She'll learn too fast." Ronan freezes. His hand grips the wall. He turns slowly, sensing something. Then he whispers, "You're not part of the challenge, are you?" The clip jumps. Abruptly, it cuts to a shot inside the top of the lighthouse. But something is wrong. There's light. Not flashlight. Not natural glow. It's a pale, pulsing light, like bioluminescence, coming from the trapdoor above. The wood glistens like it's coated in oil. Ronan steps forward. And that's when you hear it. A girl's voice. Young. Sweet. But wrong. Too calm. Too still. Ronan? Why did you leave me here? He drops the camera. It lands at an angle, tilted upward. His boots are visible. And then, another pair of feet appear. Small. Wet. Bare. They step silently down the spiral. And just before the footage distorts completely, a face leans into the frame. The girl. Hair like seaweed. Skin waxy and stretched. Eyes open too wide. And she smiles. Then the screen goes black. That footage shouldn't exist. Ronan wasn't recording at that time. The power bank was unplugged. His camcorder battery was found missing when the group's gear was recovered. And yet, here it is. The full file. With no trace of digital manipulation. No overlays. No splices. Just raw footage of something no one should have seen. Digital security expert Malcolm Keel, called in to verify the file, found something even more disturbing buried in the audio track. A spectrogram scan revealed waveforms shaped like numbers. Not audio. Not code. Coordinates. Latitude and longitude. They lead to a stretch of sand 2 kilometers from Cape Reinga, down a cliffside path. And at the exact spot marked, searchers found a single child's sandal. Size 5. Drenched. Stuffed inside? Ronan's hospital bracelet. Flashback to Ronan's first therapy session. Before he stopped talking altogether, he was asked what he remembered most. He answered without hesitation. I saw myself, but I wasn't me. I smiled. Like I'd forgotten how faces work. And when the therapist asked what else, Ronan shook violently and whispered, she watches us like we watch TV, but we don't know we're the show. Later that same week, a YouTube auto-upload occurred on Cade's channel. They changed the passwords, shut the account down, locked every recovery method. And still, the video went live. 3 minutes and 3 seconds long. Title, Answer Her. Description, none. Views 11. Then removed. Instantly. But the analytics dashboard showed where those 11 views came from. 8 were journalists. 2 were law enforcement. 1 came from inside the lighthouse tower. The video was just static. Mostly. But slowed down and enhanced. 1 single frame flashes for 0.2 seconds. The girl. Sitting. Holding something in her lap. A camcorder. Still blinking red. Still recording. There's only one way a deleted file comes back complete. If the device was never really offline. If it never left the hands of the one recording. So now the question isn't just who filmed it. It's what has been watching through the lens this entire time? You'd think a story ends when the people are gone. When the tapes are reviewed, the screams are cataloged, and the police file gets sealed in some dusty box marked unsolved. But this one didn't end. Because she, whatever she is, didn't want it to. She wasn't after fear, or fame, or even revenge. She was after witnesses. And she found us. The Ronan email wasn't hacked. That was the first red flag. Security traced the sender ID. It matched Ronan's original ISP, but the network hadn't been active in 29 days, since the group vanished. No laptop, no VPN, no signs of access. And yet, there it was. A clean, sharp message sent to every investigator, every journalist who had ever opened the case, and one unsettling outlier, to Marla Quinn, the analyst who disappeared. Her name was there, highlighted in blue, but her email account had been deactivated by the government 2 weeks prior. And somehow, she opened it. The read receipt came through 3:03 a.m. sharp. The message contained a single video attachment. Title, See Her. Duration, 33 seconds. The agency flagged it instantly, shut it down, deleted every trace. But it was too late, because 5 people had already watched it, and 2 were found wandering near the cliffs the following day, soaking wet, whispering in a language no one could identify. One of them kept repeating, I thought I was safe because I didn't look, but she looked back through me. Zoya's foster sister, Anaya, broke silence a few days later. She spoke to a fringe podcast anonymously. Said she dreamt of Zoya again. Not as she was, but as something empty. She smiled at me, but there was no memory behind it. Like someone wearing her skin who didn't know how it fit yet. Anaya said she woke up holding a shell. A wet one. Even though she lived 5 hours from the nearest beach. Then the final puzzle piece clicked into place. A linguist working with the case decrypted fragments from the whispered audio found in Ronan's last recording. The phrase repeated again and again under the static, beneath the humming tide noise, was this: the story wants a witness, the sea wants a voice, the girl wants a name. And that's what this was. Not a haunting, not a possession, not even a curse, but a system, a loop. The ritual wasn't meant to trap them. It was meant to teach her how to get out. Each step: say your name, say who betrayed you, offer blood, breath, or silence, and then leave. But they didn't leave. They broke the ritual. They spoke. They looked. They answered. And she learned. The girl from the tide was never just a ghost. She was a mirror made of seawater and silence, watching humans long enough to wear them like clothes. Cade's muttering, Zoya's scribbled notes, Ronan's half-whispered recordings, Elle's unfinished draft. All of them had tried to stop her. But she didn't need them to finish the story. She needed us. And now she knows how the Watchers work. How to be seen. How to speak in a voice that sounds just familiar enough. How to post. How to ping. How to reach through a screen. She doesn't need the lighthouse anymore. Because we brought the light to her. The final confirmed sighting? A live stream. Anonymous TikTok account. Posted at 3:03 a.m. Video showed a young girl, barefoot, soaking wet, walking through a gas station parking lot under bright fluorescent lights. She stops, looks directly into the camera, then whispers something that crashes the stream. Forensics enhanced the last frame. She's holding something. Zoya's phone. Still blinking red. Still recording. So maybe the story ends here. But probably not. Because the next time you hear a notification at 3:03 a.m., or see your reflection flicker when the screen is dark, don't answer. Don't blink. And above all, don't let her see you watching. If you want more chilling true crime stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe to the Veil of Secrets.